más?
Y un banana shake.
A long-time policy of requiring employees to only speak English with customers is gone.
You can talk to customers in Spanish?
Until now.
Until now?
Yeah.
Starting today, you can talk to customers in Spanish?
Many customers were outraged because a lot of Leon's customers on Milwaukee's south side are Latinos. People on social media and community leaders threatened to boycott. Today, the League of United Latin American Citizens announced it is preparing to ask for a federal investigation.
We're going to be, looking at employees who feel that, this is kind of a violation of the civil rights, freedom of speech.
They claim Schneider hasn't been very clear about prohibiting employees to speak to each other in a language other than English. On camera, Schneider casually explained he's backing off his English-only policy. We caught someone ordering in Spanish, and the young lady behind the counter says, we can talk to customers in Spanish starting today. Has anything changed?
Not too much. I mean, I tried to stress the English thing because the problem is not all of my employees can speak Spanish.
Yet when there is a bilingual employee available like today, his employees will respond in Spanish.
So now I just made it official. It's just, if you can help the customer, help them any way you can.
The United Auto Workers are on their 5th week of strikes. Today they thought perhaps the end was in sight.
Things kind of didn't turn out as good as we would expect. We presented them with things that we thought were pretty fair.
Despite the fact that union leaders have informed them today that there is no agreement, workers remain optimistic. UAW strikers want equal pay for all of Kohler employees. Currently, the company operates under a 2-tier wage structure, where those in the top tier doing the same job can make up to $8 more than an employee in the lower tier. Kohler has said an equal pay package for all would require them to cut jobs.
This is our present from God, 50 degrees.
Lately, the weather has definitely been on their side. Still, the strike hasn't been easy on families.
What size you need?
Strikers have depended on a food pantry that gets stocked once a week. And now with Christmas approaching, a toy drive is underway.
People have been phenomenal about bringing the toys and coats and jackets.
Some of the most disturbing images came from this BP gas station last night, with people vandalizing it, setting it on fire, with people trapped inside. This morning, a very different story. It was the epicenter where people met to pray and clean up.
Please bring peace into this city right now, God.
After a night of unrest in Milwaukee's Sherman Park neighborhood, people come together to pray and to pick up. Members of the Coalition for Justice gathered to walk through the neighborhood. The grassroots group fights for police accountability and knows protesting can be carried out without violence.
Find those pockets of people who are angry, who are upset, and go to them and see what we can do for them. See how we can inspire them and encourage them to not do these bad things.
With each piece of trash, there is hope that with it out goes the racial tensions, inequalities, and disparities facing this community.
It's hard to even think how bad this is, and it's all our fault. We can't point our fingers at the young kids, the police. It's all our fault, because we all could have done more.
Chaplain Alexis Twido says last night was a call to action.
Martin Luther King Jr. once said that a riot is the language of the unheard. And I think what we're seeing is people in a desperate and broken place in our city, and they're crying out to be heard.
Volunteers this morning hope the entire city of Milwaukee. Just today, a new set of gun laws takes effect here in the state of Texas. Those laws actually loosening restriction on gun ownership. Proponents argue that they will offer people the opportunity to protect themselves, while critics say these changes make people less safe. At a press conference earlier today in Odessa, Governor Greg Abbott defended the new laws and the right to bear arms, while still admitting that a problem needs to be solved.
We need solutions that will...
At that vigil that ended just a few hours ago, there was no mention of any dividing issue. There was only talk about unification of these two cities, Midland, Odessa, that this mass shooting this time around involved men in uniform, 3 of them, and the city so grateful, saying that their professionalism is not going unnoticed. They're being called true heroes here in Midland, Odessa.
No, from what I understand, what his staff has told me is that on his agenda today is just a visit to UCC. We know that this is going to be a very short trip, Bridget.
Veronica Macias is live near 39th and Hadley. Veronica.
George and Carol, one neighbor here describing this as one of the worst accidents he's ever seen, with children involved being ejected from the car. Shannon, will family members, owners of the Bungalow restaurant located on Keefe Avenue and 14th Street here in North Milwaukee, say that they are in shock and in disbelief. Now, family members who are still here understandably did not want to go on camera. This media room is filled with journalists from just about every news outlet. Carol, little Valdemar could have walked home from the fair and waited for his mother, but the door to his apartment building here at 6th and Mitchell was locked. George, Carol, family have waited all day. They want to know what caused the blast and which 2 victims were recovered. From our mass camera, you can see that investigators have had to painstakingly gather evidence.